Aloha Shamans, and thank you for joining us here today. It is March 10th, 2026, and this is Simply Shaman series on intuition, episode number 3, with one of our best friends and EarthStar ministers, Nicole Ackley. Thank you, Nicole, for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And wonderful topic for you, intuition, being a lifelong Pisces. So my goodness, all sorts of information you can help us with, help us to assimilate, and help us to strengthen and grow our own intuitive senses. So thank you for being here today. I know this is a special week for you because it's birthday week. So thank you so much for taking time to be able to do this.
Yeah, thanks for spending it with me.
And you're still doing along with your minister work. Now Nicole has been a minister with us since 2010, and now we've known Nicole for well over 25 years because we knew her back when we had the EarthStar Tai Chi Center in 1999. So my goodness, long time friends. And so thank you for doing the work wherever you are. And as a Pisces, I know you're worldwide, always on the net, always doing different jobs in different places. So thank you for doing what you do and spreading that aloha consciousness.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we're here, right?
Yes, indeed. And you still do shamanic life coaching and that type of counseling. You can do that in person or by phone or video chat, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, good. And also you're a wonderful card reader, intuitive card reader, counselor. So thank you for that. And I have Nicole's contact info in the show notes. So have her email and phone number if you'd like to have a session with her. So thank you, Nicole, for being who you are.
Here I am.
Well, let me add some slides here and we'll go through some slides and then we'll just go right along with the kind of following the same movements we did with the questions that we did with the previous two episodes. Okay, so this is March 10th, 2026, Simply Shaman series with our beautiful Nicole Ackley. And we are EarthStar Spiritual Center. So I am Dale Stacy, your host, and also one of the ministers at EarthStar Spiritual Center. We are a multi-faith church for living aloha. And our core principles or values are to the left there. You see spelled out in aloha. All living God, love, oneness, heart path, as above, so below. And we've been doing the church thing since 2002. So planetary awareness to galactic consciousness. That's what I hope to help you to find a path where you can understand and be with Mother Earth and also expand your mind and spirit to the level of galactic consciousness and even beyond that to universal consciousness and the multiverse, because we have lots of things going on in our various dimensions right now. And these are some of the things we do here at EarthStar. And also these are some of the topics that we started the Sundays at 11:11. So that's 11:11 a.m. And that will be every Sunday that we're able to do this, speaking and discussing and sharing perspectives and insights on being a cosmic shaman and aloha consciousness. So if we can assist in any way with any of these topics, then I've got our contact info in the show notes. And thank you for the folks who have given donations to EarthStar to keep this channel going, because we all know it costs to do things like this, and we try to keep our channel free. That is our goal. So subscriptions are free to EarthStar, and I have PayPal links in the show notes if you'd like to do that. So thank you very much. And these are some of the books we've written. So if these can help you in any way to help you along your shamanic evolution. Everything from earth shamanism to interdimensional and universal shamanism. And these links are also in the show notes, and they're all available on Amazon. So thank you for the support for those. Good. And our topics that we are discussing today, they come from these books. So thank you very much for your support always. And another organization we belong to, I want to highlight that for you, and the coming energies of our Ascension consciousness right now as we make our way from 3D to 4D and beyond. Connecting Consciousness is one of our global associations that we work with, and that's run by Simon Parks. He lives in England. He is currently going to be one of the organizations that's responsible for providing humanitarian projects as we enter this beautiful golden age, not only for America, but the world. so that these funds will be available for us to have our humanitarian projects. And we submitted a bid in 2023 to have a project and a MedBed Center here in the Guilford County, North Carolina area. And so I hope that you know how you're serving right now and how will you serve. And remember, you want to make sure that you're serving as your best possible self right now, so that when the time comes, you'll be ready to go and to put those particular skills into action. In other words, they're earth superpowers, knowing your abilities, gifts, goals, power, skills, and talents in your service to others. So make sure you know what those are. And we will probably have an earth superpower class sometime in May. I think that's our goal for right now. But I have the links to Connecting Consciousness in the show notes, and that is also free to join. So look at all of his videos, and you can find out if you want to submit a humanitarian project. He has all the info on his website. So thank you for supporting that and being about that. All right, so we've got some questions to ask Nicole today, similar and the same as the previous 2 episodes. So as we think about intuition, we know that a basic 3D dictionary definition would be the power attaining knowledge or cognition without evident rational thought. Okay? In other words, quick and ready insight. So that's how the dictionary gives a very 3D definition of this subjective topic, interdimensional topic called intuition. Now, intuition, everyone has it. But remember, as intuitive shamans, some folks are on kindergarten level and some are on collegiate level, and even past that level. So we all have different skill levels. And Nicole is a very attuned and very adept intuitive. So think about having a session with her, as she can help you with some of the issues in Earth right now, and also as far as your spiritual growth. All right, so Nicole, if you will, we can start with that first one. Just define intuition in your own terms. So let me get us on big screen so everybody can see us.
So for me, intuition is our core access to source information, right?
Yes.
It encompasses so many different things, from being able to connect with source, with God, with the creator, with our guides, and intelligent information, beings of light. And I think that we harness that intuition by creating a connection, an open, fluid connection with our intuition. So that's kind of how I coin it. It's that core information source that comes from within, a knowing source, a clear space for you to be able to connect with divine guidance and intelligence.
Yeah, wonderful. So really just a core ability. So you're telling us then, the way you perceive it is that everyone really has this core?
Everyone has this core. It is within all of us, because we're all divine expressions of love, of God, right? That's our purpose in being here, is sharing our unique expression. And one way to be able to do that is to really foster your relationship with that intuitive connection that you have, making time and space to do that. And we can talk about that more. But just understanding that connection, being open to it, being in flow to receive, and building the foundation for what that relationship looks like.
Yes. Oh, wonderful. Good. Oh, yes. We could have you on here every day talking about spiritual and intuitive topics, right? Pisces having a wealth of information.
Yeah, I love this, because I do believe we all have it. I believe that it's built into us. It's part of the core of who we are. And we all have the ability to access it. And I think that we are able to do it in different ways, which gives us that unique expression to not only learn and evolve ourselves, but to also help others with that connection. I think the intuitive happens when you build that connection, that relationship with, and you can do it with anything. You can do it with everything. That's the beauty of it.
Right. Oh, great. So we can use our intuition for people, places, and things, right? So
you really can. Yeah. People, places, things. Like I said, your divine connection to source information, your inner knowing. It's so funny because we say beyond being rational, right? But we know as shaman that some of the most important things that we look at are things that are considered irrational or outside of, what we've put in a box. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much for that. Yes, wonderful, wonderful. Great job of being a Pisces and putting that in 3D grounded energy so we can understand it from your viewpoint. All right, wonderful. Question 1 that was. Okay, question number 2. How long have you known you are an intuitive, and can you give us some examples of this knowingness?
So I've always known that I was connected to a knowing, to an understanding that from a very early age that I couldn't comprehend. I didn't have anyone, of course, to talk to about these things. But I remember being young, really young, 6, 7, 8 years old, and feeling this connection to something greater. I'll be honest, at first I was a little afraid of it, like, what is this? Does everybody have it? And I didn't talk to anybody about this. Didn't talk to my mom about it, not to my grandmother, 2 big influences in my life. But as time went on, I learned what it was. I learned that it was that connection to source, and I learned to develop that relationship and how it guided me throughout my journey. There's times that I've been really in alignment with it and connected. And there's times that I've also realized that I have been disconnected from it and come back into alignment to it. So I've always known, I guess.
Do you know, as an early age, when you were a child, do you remember some of the things that you just knew at an early age? And when did that kind of kick in?
So some of the first signs that I remember, I was in the car with my cousin and we were going to the lake. And I knew that there was a song that was going to come on the radio next. And then boom, the song comes on the radio. So it started with really little, like, subtle things. My mom said I used to sit, we had this bar at our house where the phone connected to the wall, believe it or not. And I would sit up there because I knew at certain times people would be calling and I would want to be the one to answer the phone. So I guess those are just subtle ways of realizing that you're connected to some sort of more information, able to process information in a different way. And there's also deeper things too. I knew when my grandmother was going to pass. She and I had a very deep connection. In fact, today's her birthday, ironically or not.
So she's a Pisces too.
She's a Pisces too.
Wow.
We're one day apart. Tomorrow's my birthday. Today was her birthday. And we always had this deep connection, very deep connection. And so intuitively, when she had a stroke, I told Brandon that in that moment, I said, there's something wrong with my grandma. And then a little later, I got the call from my mom that she had a stroke. So there's things that are, both subtle, and then there's things that are, you can really tie into having such a deep connection with someone that you just have this open, intuitive channel between the two of you that you can really work with and harness if you choose to.
Well, now as a child and knowing you were intuitive, and I know I keep mentioning Pisces being intuitive because remember, folks, on the astrology, Pisces are the most sensitive, intuitive elements or sign that we can have. So most of all the water signs are very intuitive, very psychic. And for you, Nicole, as a child going through school, how did that intuitive sense play into how you learned and kind of had rapport with different people and teachers?
Well, it's interesting looking back on it now, right? I can see it differently than then. Then I knew I was very sensitive. I felt like I was unlike other people. I felt somewhat isolated a little bit. Never felt alone, so to speak, but I just, in a big cosmic way, but more in like a 3D way. And so there were just things, hypersensitivity, I have a really easy ability to connect with other people and other things. So I had to learn to work with my energy bubble and create space around me to allow it, but also not absorb it. And I think as a Pisces, that's one of the most difficult pieces, probably all water signs. And people with developed sensitivities, developed intuition, you have to know what's your stuff and what's not your stuff, because you are able to pick up on other people's energy and what they're projecting.
Yes. And when you talk about absorbing things, did you ever find at that early age that things were just kind of like overwhelming as far as sights and sounds, smells, taste, vibrations, any of that?
Senses for sure. Like I think Pisces, especially water people, we have very heightened senses, right? For me, everything is heightened. And I get tingles, like I get the little minges, as Grammy used to call them, but it's just like this, I get this buzzed up energy almost, like you're just radiating. And I remember in some of the classes at EarthStar, we'd take pictures, and Misha used to say I was a hummingbird because I was radiating so fast that pictures would be blurry, And so some of that is too, it's just like your antennas are so far out there, you've kind of got to learn to work with that energy.
Yes. Oh, wonderful. Yes. So energetic. My goodness. And of course, your husband's a water sign too, so that's got to help.
So it's funny. I was going to talk about the intuition and the connection between Brandon and I, because we've been together for 25 years, married for 21. And we often joke, because if he thinks something, I'll say it out loud, and vice versa. And so we have this deep intuitive connection to each other that we can feel through a conversation and never even have to have an actual conversation.
Right.
But we just are so, in tune and intuitive to each other in that way.
I know y'all could be like the dynamic duo. It'd be like something like psychic ninja, talking to each other in your mind, and nobody would hear anything.
It's quite funny, because he'll always say, "Why did you steal my thought?" Because he will literally think something, and I'll say, "Well, how about?" And he's like, "I was literally just thinking that. Quit stealing my thoughts."
Isn't that wonderful?
It's really when you learn to work with it, it is a game changer for people. And I heard the other day, it's ironic or not, the timing, but that 50% of people trust their intuition. And I thought that is really incredible, because I don't think that that's a statistic from the past. That's coming a long way, that half of us trust our intuition. That's pretty cool.
It is, and that is a big one, to trust your intuition, right? But I think we'll get to that later. So.
We will.
Okay, wonderful. Question number 2. That's great. Okay, number 3. What does it feel like to be intuitive? If you can put that in 3D understanding for us.
So in 3D terms, I think when you experience intuition, for most people, it comes through a sense, right? It's a feeling. It's an inner knowing. Could be visual. It could be visions of something. It could be, if you're an auditory person, you could maybe hear things or see it in your mind's eye, is another big one. I think depending on how we receive and perceive kind of depends on how we experience intuition. So if you know how you receive and perceive, you will be better at aligning to your intuition and understanding it.
Oh, wonderful. And then, so when you feel, now, are there certain times of the day or times of the year or certain activities that you're engaged with that you feel an incredible sense of being intuitive?
I think it can come at any time, but this is one that I feel like happens for a lot of people, and this is going to be funny. So the universe has humor. We know that, right? But when you're in the bathroom or in the shower or in some space within the bathroom, I think a lot of people receive during that time. And so I think, and people may or may not be aware of that, but pay attention as one, something that I think is pretty common when you're in the shower or in the bathroom or within water in general. And two, for a water sign, I think that's probably very true for me anyway. But I hear a lot of people say, you won't believe what idea I had in the shower or in the bathroom.
Yes.
So I think there's something to that.
Yes, there is. That's exactly for me. I keep telling everybody I have this magic shower. So when I'm showering, it's like the water is like all this energy and thoughts that come into me. I mean, I'm doing workshops and classes. I'm developing lesson plans. It's like it's all just instantaneous. And so I know when I come out of taking a shower, I'm running right for the computer because I want to put everything down that to receive it. And, that intuitive thing, it comes in such big clumps of energy, and then to have to put that down on paper, it's like, oh my goodness. So it really is this sense of just knowing, this universal connection.
It is. It's definitely a connection thing, because not only are you receiving your own inner information, divine guidance, and all of that good stuff through the connection, it's true with other people too. The way that we're able to help other people through intuition is that we get out of, first of all, our own way, our own mess, and that we allow the connection, the fluid connection to happen. And then there's so much transmission and flow of information that could happen in that space. Pretty incredible magic,
Yes, it is. Yes, it is to know that, we've always been connected with that. And we really didn't receive very much training from our various institutions.
Well, we've been told it's irrational,
Yes.
it's irrational. But when you think about knowing and trusting something beyond reason, that is a very, it's so potent. It's a very potent thing, right? You don't question it, And I think that is some of the most potent energy, is the knowing.
Yes. And I know just from the previous 2 episodes, and also just with conversations with folks, and also life coaching sessions, and I know a lot of people are thinking that this intuitive sense is their imagination, so they have a hard time trusting their imagination because they're thinking they just made that up. So could you give us some insight with that, as far as what is imagination, psychic skills, intuitive skills? How's all that work?
I see them as 2 different things, because when you know something, it's a knowing, right? You don't question it. When you imagine something, you use that in form of co-creation or creating something, typically, right? That imagination is so powerful as a manifestation tool, for bringing in and calling in what you want. But intuition is getting clear about what that means and how you can really take it from one state to another. So I see them as co-creators, but as separate parts of the creation, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that does make sense. So you're saying that we really have to, with our imagination, it's like we have to go through these steps in our mind to actually deal with it. Whereas with your intuitive sense, you're saying that's more of that big picture view, and it gives us the entire picture, and we have that wholeness.
It's the clarity, the clarity. I think imagination is so powerful because you are creating with imagination. But when you know and something is true, it, that's intuition.
Yes. Oh, that's wonderful. Goodness. Okay. So is there now I know we're right now in Pisces astrologically, so for the rest of this month until first day of spring. So do you feel extra pep in your step during this time? Because, every astrology sign, that's their power time. So how does this power time for you feel different, or are you just energized the entire year? It doesn't matter for you.
I'm not always energized. I try to bring myself back when I realize that I'm not. But no, I'm not always energized. I think it's always there. It's just a matter of, am I attuned to it? Am I aligned to it? Or am I somewhat out of alignment for whatever reason, right? So during this Pisces season, for me, with the shedding of the end of the snake and then to coming into this new fire horse energy, it's been really interesting for me because I don't have a lot of fire in my chart, but when I work with fire signs and other fire people, oh man, it's an incredible experience and exchange because it gives me something that may not come so natural to me. So I do notice that as far as outside energies and working with that sort of stuff and other people in that way. But yeah, I think when you come into your season, you're always, in a better, somewhat about a better alignment because this is your time. This is when you decided to come into this existence. So, this is a very powerful time of creation and intuition for you. Yeah.
Well, just for Jeanne and myself, just knowing you for 25, 26 years, you are always energized. So I don't know what you mean. I'm still energized all the time. Every time we see you and we're around you are energized. So that's just your default. Your Pisces nature always energized.
It's funny because, Pisces are often seen as the type that likes to retreat. And I do that. I do have my time of retreat. But I get really fired up energetically when working with other people. And that's why I love energy work so much because it brings something and I'm able to move something through me that is impactful. And I love that. So thank you for saying that though, Dale, because I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna use that buzzed up energy.
You're always, especially in your mind, your spirit. Yeah, you're always swimming the 7 seas, right? That's what you do.
Yeah.
Well, now you mentioned the energy work stuff. So how does your intuitive sense kick in with your energy work for other folks?
I love that because I always go. I start everything with prayer and intention. And whenever I go into a space with somebody, I just always say, "Let me be a clear vessel," and then I just start to work with information and whatever communication that is coming, and then too whatever's coming from their body, and their spirit. And I tap in, of course, being a Pisces and being able to absorb, not just witness. You want to make sure that you know what you're witnessing and you don't want to add anything to it. So you just become that clear vessel. And then you're able to really listen in. That's the key thing. I think intuition is all about listening, receiving. So you have to get steady and you have to get still enough to be able to truly hear beyond noise and all of that stuff. And to tune in and align yourself, connect with the person you're working with. And there's so much that can happen. You're a very powerful energy worker, but there's so much that can come in from an intuitive perspective that their being allows you to witness.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know, when you said earlier that it's a core concept within all of us to be intuitive. So how would you think, like when you're doing your non-spiritual jobs, if there's such a thing, because it's all about service to others.
That's right.
But folks who are like in their regular 9-to-5 jobs or whatever they do, how do you integrate your intuitive sense doing your earthly work that you do to pay the bills and all that?
Well, I always ask, how can I be of better service in this situation? Because it's all about serving others, right? And intuitively, I'll give you a good example. If you walk into a space, and I'm a human resources director. So if you walk into a space and maybe the energy is heavy or whatever, because you know that you're having to have a conversation that is heavier energy, whatever, you always go in and try to enhance or influence what may need to happen, right? And I say that in a very pure way of intuitively, I know this space feels off. So let's realign and all get connected so that we can better serve each other in this space.
Yes.
And I choose to see it as an opportunity. I think everything is an opportunity. whether it is to learn about yourself or about others or be of service or whatever. It's an opportunity. So I choose to see it at that, but I really try to go in and work with the energy of a space.
Yes.
And that comes from your intuition, right? When you go in and you're like, something's just not quite right. How can I be of influence? How can I enhance this so that we're in a more, in a better space?
Yes. Oh, thank you. And now when you do that, like for workspaces, would you create some sort of energy bubble, or do you have a sense visual thing that you would
So
do?
my office would tell you that I would come in before we moved offices. Before I left my corporate gig for over 10 years, we moved offices. We got this beautiful brand new office, and everybody knows I'm a very spiritual person. And so my boss's wife goes and she says, I have this sage, and I would really like it if you would go in and you will clear the energy of this space and bless it before we move in. And I took that as an high honor because, they're not particularly very deeply spiritual or anything, but they intuitively were guided to me to go in and work intuitively with the space. And that's the thing too, intuitively, you're getting all kinds of impressions from every environment and situation you encounter, right? Like it's just especially for very attuned in people. And so, you really have to learn to work with the energy of situations and circumstances. So that's one, obviously, way of going in intuitively working with the space. Hey, does it need? Breathe more love into it, success, life, whatever it is. But
and how wonderful to have a boss like that. My goodness.
Yeah, my boss's wife, he always just laughed. I mean, we were so different. He's an Aries, so we were so very different. But like I said, when I work with fire energy, we can make some really amazing things happen. And I love that, getting into other tools, but that's a thing. If somebody's open to allow you to be yourself and do what you do, magic happens.
Yes, it does. Okay. Oh, I have one. Thank you so much for that. Goodness. Okay. All right. Number 4. You're doing great. Question number 4. And of course, you've already answered some of this, but what do you do or how do you increase, evolve, or train your intuition? Are there things that you do to help you to be more intuitive?
I think it's like any relationship, though, you build a strong foundation, right? You cannot build upon anything without foundation. And the first step, in my opinion, is learning to trust yourself.
Yes.
And that once you can get into the alignment of trusting yourself and, being connected to things, it all evolves from there. But that is the true foundation, I think, of any relationship. And then the second most important thing is you have to show up. You have to show up for that connection. You have to continue to build community is an important part. Like we talked about, when you're young, you don't have anybody to go to with this stuff. People might think you're crazy. All these things that we know are untrue, they are just not evolved enough to maybe be your community. So finding community is another big step in that. Find your people. Find people who can coach you and help you along as this evolves for you. Especially people who it may not come as natural to. Align yourself with somebody who it comes natural to. And that's a surefire way right there for you two to work together with, you to draw from their energy and, them to be able to help you along developing this. Meditation, as you know, is very important to getting still, getting within, listening. And that's the most important thing, because I think people listen so much to the chatter that they don't kind of see the clarity beneath the chatter, or, and that's important. It's really tuning in and finding a place that allows you to do that, whatever that is for you, whether it's, maybe a bath or a walk in nature, or going in the ocean, or being in some type of body of water, of, outside, whatever it is that works with the way you're made, do those things, but show up for that relationship and foster that relationship, because it does get sharper and sharper and more clear with practice.
Well, that's wonderful then. Yeah. So find those things within our own selves.
Right.
And keep building those things that you know to do. And then it's wonderful if you can find an intuitive mentor.
That's right.
Hang out and do that.
It is, just to help you gain confidence, because I think that's where the imagination piece comes in. I made this up, right? Is you're not necessarily confident yet in what you're seeing, hearing, witnessing, feeling. But as you develop that confidence, that part becomes so much more natural to you that you no longer question it.
Right. Oh my goodness. Thank you. So for you, would you go, or do you go to like a special place on earth? I mean, do you go out into the woods? You go out to the water? Do you do any chants or mantras? Do you do the sage or incense?
Mm-hmm.
What are some of the things that you could share that other people could try to help their intuition?
So I love smoke medicine, and I work with it a lot just to clear the space every day, something I do every single day, just so that I am an open, when I work with this, I want to be an open vessel, right? I want all the energy of yesterday and whatever, I want to clear that out. That always puts me in a better alignment, because it's a ritual that I've created for myself. And so I know that's my time, right? That's my thing. But I was actually doing yoga this morning, and I was thinking about intuition and with doing yoga. And I'm like, it's so, when you're tapped in, these things flow so easily. You may not even be conscious of it, right? Because it just happens so naturally that it could happen anytime, at the gym, during yoga. Being out in nature is a big thing. I think for a lot of people, nature is a big supporter of your intuition and connecting. And also, obviously, the obvious is water is everything to me. I get so much information being around water, near any body of water, ocean, lake, bathtub, waterfall, anything like that always puts me in direct alignment, I feel, with receiving intuition or, intuitive information. And two, knowing your sign, like you said, what are your elements? Where do you feel most in tune with things? And that's going to be a personal thing, I think, for, depending on the individual.
Yes, and that would keep it very easy, because you're either going to be a fire, earth, air, water. So
that's right. You keep it easy, because that the universe loves joy and simplicity, right? Like that, it doesn't have to be overcomplicated. And I think that's one of the things that is a big myth and misconception. It's really very simple. Listen, tune in, make the connection, and listen. And one of the things that you taught us was, whenever we send our love and our energy to Mother Earth, and then we learn to feel that and receive that pulse back, that is a very simple practice that no matter what you are aligning to, that you can do that. Let me send my energy to this, and let me receive yours back, or receive, the exchange. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. And now you mentioned you do the smoke thing. What kind of stuff do you use for that? Are you incense?
So I do. I use incense on a daily, and then I use sage. I have different types of sage that I use, but I work with sage, and to work with what you have, like what's accessible to you, because the closer to you it is, the more pure, the more connected, the more connection you have to it, the better, right? Yes. So use those tools and those things that come naturally for you, that you're attracted to. Brandon is not attracted to incense. And that's not the way he uses things. But for me, smoke medicine I love. It's such a cleansing, clearing, transmuting energy that for me, that's what works. For Brandon, he could leave that one. But to do what works for you, what resonates with you.
Yes. Yeah, I love the smoke stuff too. I love the sage and the incense. I love that ritual. It's just so powerful.
I do too.
Now, where do you get your supplies for that? You order online, or is there a local shop there where you are?
Well, preferably you want to obviously shop local and support your local spiritual businesses. We have several shops here in town that are spiritual based businesses. But if you have to, pick obviously something that's quality and get it. You can get it anywhere, honestly, Dale.
Right.
We have a shop here that's really sweet. It's called Lovey's Market. That's it's just holistic everything. And that's where a lot of my sage and stuff like that comes from.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. So if you can't grow it yourself, go find your local metaphysical
grow
shop.
it yourself, obviously, or ask if you're out in nature. Ask if it will give you, give it of itself to you, but don't take things without asking.
Exactly. Well, that was wonderful, Nicole. I mean, you got personal mind, body, spirit exercises. You have personal rituals you do. Oh, that's wonderful. Just being connected where we are and constantly growing that intuitive nature.
Mm-hmm.
That's
yeah. Foster that. Make time for it. Just like as a daily practice, like brushing your teeth or taking a shower.
Yes.
I mean, cultivate that as part of your daily rituals, your experience in life, and you will really see evolution in your intuition.
Yes, that's wonderful. Wonderful suggestion. Outstanding. All right, that was number 4. Okay, so the last one then, and of course you've already kind of shared this too. Can you think of anything else that other people can do for themselves to be more intuitive? If you could just sit somebody down, and of course you've told them everything that you've already discussed with us, but these are the things I want you to remember. This is going to help you to become and be more intuitive, because you already are, because you told us.
You already are. You just an ability to connect and listen. Those are 2 extremely important things. Connect to yourself. Connect to, and make it a ritual. Make it a habit system. Is very important. And 2, I think one step that probably I started with, and I've done this my entire life as a creative, do something creative. Do something that brings you joy. Do something that puts you in the flow of receiving. And then listen to, what comes and get clear about it. Meditation practice is essential. Working with breath work is another good way. And then something simple, if you're not into all of that, journal. One practice that I learned that I'll share, and it's really an easy practice, but to connect to your intuition, is take a blank sheet of paper and draw a dot in the center of it and focus on that dot. And it's almost like when you defocus on a picture, but you can see everything so clearly in it. Those pictures that are like, I guess they're holographic or something, but you defocus and you clearly see. So that's kind of the idea behind this. You defocus on the dot and it'll start to illuminate itself. And then beyond that, you make your connection to intuition, to spirit, and you just start free flowing writing and just let whatever come. No judgment, no anything. And then once you just let it all come until it's there. And then you go back and you look at it. And I think you will see some strong intuitive guidance that comes through that practice.
That's what. And is that called automatic writing? As far as you know?
I just learned it as a journaling technique. So probably there is a true term to it, but I learned it as journaling with spirit. It was a class that I took, and that's where I learned that practice. Obviously, journaling is a practice in itself, but that just adds one little step of connection and intentional connection to it. with creating the circle and then defocusing and allowing spirit to kind of, it's almost like an activation in a way.
Yes.
And then you just kind of automatically or just free flow with whatever comes.
Yeah. And that's meditation in itself also.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Excellent. Outstanding. Well, folks, hope you got your pen and paper ready to go back and watch this all over again.
Yeah, hopefully something, you got something out of it. But truly, I think just centering yourself and going within and creating that daily practice, you're going to see your intuition. If you're not already deeply connected to your intuition, you're going to see that deeper connection form.
Oh, it's truly a master class, Nicole. Oh my goodness.
Oh,
I'm going to have to learn how to do little snippets of the video, and I could do little shorts.
You know what's so funny is I had that vision earlier for you. Dale needs to do shorts and it's so funny. So that was meant to happen because I was already thinking about that earlier, Dale.
or maybe I'm intuitive too. Wow.
You are definitely intuitive. Definitely. And see, it also shows our connection, right? Like
yes.
Your connection with people exists. Even though I haven't seen you physically in a while, we still have that soul, that deep connection to each other that we can send and receive and transmit energy between us. So, yeah.
Just like if we saw each other physically, we would just pick up like we just saw each other yesterday.
That's right. That's right. It's infinite. It's an infinite thing.
So when we think about then our intuition from Nicole's perspective, I mean, she says it's a core instinct or value that all of us have. So we just have to develop it, pay attention, make sure we use personal responsibility, do the things we know to do, find an intuitive mentor. When you're doing your rituals, support your local metaphysical store, find some supplies, but also just to trust. I know that's kind of been a big theme now, this being the third episode. It's about trusting the information you receive. And that's another thing. When you do have these intuitive hits, do you act upon them right away, or do you just say, okay, I'll do that later? Or I know some people just totally ignore that. So what would be your advice?
Now is the moment of power, right? So if you act now, and the now is your power moment.
Yes.
And I think sometimes if we forgo the moment, it's probably going to cycle back around that you pick it back up at another time and place. But now is your moment of power.
Yes. Oh, wonderful. Oh, my gosh. Okay, let me just give you some applause. Oh, and the gallery goes wild. Good. So thank you so much, Nicole, for being here on this live.
Yeah, thank you.
Remember, folks, you can always watch this on replay. So please share it so that we can share Nicole's wonderful intuitive energy with the world, and then subscribe to the channel and like, of course. And then so thank you for being here. And thank you, Nicole. And again, I have her contact info in the show notes. So thank you for joining us here on this 2:00 in the afternoon. I know you had a busy week, especially with birthday coming up tomorrow. So thank you.
No, it's such an honor to be here with you and share space with everybody. So I hope that there was something that came from it that'll be impactful and help. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. Okay, let me do one more slide. Our little POW slide. Okay, so on 3, remember POW means it's all over in Hawaiian. Ready? 1, 2, 3. POW. Wonderful. Thank you so very much, Nicole. And thank you everybody for here. Thank you. And this wonderful, beautiful dimensional space called EarthStar Spiritual Center, currently occupying 3D planet Earth here in North Carolina. Okay. So you take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much. Mahalo.
Sending love. Bye.
Aloha.